How's it going, everyone, and welcome to another episode of No Excuses on VTWProductions.com and YouTube.com with your favorite show hosts, Aristil.
Venerian?
And Volcel, and we're here to bring you the latest news and commentary on the video games industry for the week if we are not undermined by the terrible scourge of COVID toes.
COVID toes.
Which is a new and interesting health condition that has been invented recently.
Yes, invented.
Which is not really all that new and interesting because it was be otherwise known as chilblains to everybody else in the world if you are not desperate to be afraid of something, which people seem to be. But anyway, if you'd like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com, or you can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in our Discord server, which you can quite easily get to by clicking on the link provided in the comments under, well, not in the comments, the show description underneath the archive of this show on YouTube. Alternatively, you can do so by going to vtwproductions.com and clicking on the why am I having so much difficulty with this today? My goodness. By clicking on the show logo on any of our show posts at vtwproductions.com.
Yes, indeed. So, on the stream today, I'm going to be playing a little bit of Surviving the Aftermath, which recently escaped the rather vice-like clutches of the Epic Store and popped up on Steam. So,
I see.
What the game is, it's sort of the sequel to Surviving Mars, which was a game all about building a colony on Mars, and was one of the few city builders. I still call it a city builder because I suppose technically you build a city. That actually has an end point, whereas you fully terraform Mars, and it is incredibly satisfying when you do. Surviving the Aftermath is a post-apocalyptic city builder game where you have your little camp as well as have to explore the world to find more resources and events. It's still, I think it's technically still in early access, although it is pretty much complete at this point. I don't want that tutorial this time around. I'm just going to quickly fire up a new game here. We'll just go medium difficulty, medium resources, mediums, all the mediums. Except that.
This sounds like a very fun game.
I know, right? It is a rather relaxing game for the most part. Like, everything's fairly chill. You can kind of progress at your own pace until what they call a catastrophe happens, which is an event. It's
Gojira?
Vegeta.
No, Gojira.
Gojira? I haven't seen Gojira yet. I don't know if there's a Gojira yet. I hope there is Gojira. There are rather suspicious-looking lakes of goo on the world map. So who knows what's lurking in those. It's never really outright stated what actually caused the apocalypse. I get the impression it's just a bunch of different things that happened. So
global warming.
Probably global warming. I think there's been mention of global warming or climate change in there, but climate change in relation to giant freaking balls of rock falling out of the sky. So, I mean, that's the sort of climate change that you can't really ignore. I do always make sure I take this person here, by the way. You do check your initial group of specialists who are basically your hands in your colony. You can tell them to do various things directly as well as go explore the world. I take this one, partly because she's got really good all-round stats, but also because she's wearing a dead platypus on her head and is never mentioned.
Is this like Discworld's Duckman?
I guess, but though people tend to notice and mention the duck.
It's just him that doesn't.
This lady just has a dead platypus on her head. She doesn't look particularly impressed about it either.
But why?
I don't know. I'll go with the next. I need a fighter, scavenger, and I'll go a scientist. Gotta find the good scientists. They're all kind of meh. You. Alright, so yeah, on that's actually also been a good chunk of what my week has been, is just kind of fiddling around with this game, trying to get my head around it. What else have I really done this week? Not a whole lot, admittedly, because yeah, we're still stuck in the work doldrums. And we have incoming Drunk Cowboys again this coming weekend for the final time this year, hopefully.
Oh boy.
You say that, But there always seems to be more drunk cowboys when you say, "Okay, we're finally done with the drunk cowboys."
Oh no,
There's
Drunk
always more
Cowboys
of them.
never actually end.
Yeah, I mean, you've still got like, I don't know when your Labor Day is if you have one. There's like Guy Fawkes. There's Christmas. There's New Year's Eve.
There's Tuesday.
Or well, yeah. There's lots of opportunities, lots of holidays down this end of the year where it will give the drunk cowboys an opportunity to gather up and set themselves on fire.
Yeah. Although after the last couple of events we've had, we've had 3 race meetings in particular close proximity, and the first one had a rodeo attached to it because reasons, and so does this one again because reasons. I think.
What do they actually do at these things? Is this just basically a commercial thing where they sell cattle, or
Partly,
or what?
there is an element of that to it, but it's basically to show off, horse riding and station-related skills and things like that. But
you can only see those things so many times. I mean, come on.
Exactly right. But for some reason we end up with like 10 or 20 different rodeo events a year, and it's really obnoxious.
Surely it stops making money at some point.
I don't know.
When you reach a certain level of saturation of the same event being replayed over and over again.
Yeah, you'd think so, but apparently not. But that's not really here or there, because nobody actually goes to these things to watch the bull riding or anything like that. They go there to get drunk. Really, really obliteratedly drunk.
I'm sure there's at least a few people that show up with the intent to participate like a normal person,
And at least participate sober.
and then they just see the alcohol and they're like, "Well, why not?" And then they wind up in the back of your taxi thrown up.
Yeah. Although the way that they've been behaving over the last few weeks, I wouldn't be surprised if the police have shoot-on-sight orders at this point. They're getting that bad. So
That's
Is it like homeless people in San Francisco where they're just lying all over the sidewalk and leaving their waste everywhere?
I think closer to, well, actually, yes. I was going to say it's like a zombie apocalypse, but that's the same thing. Just, Anyway. The rest of my week, I haven't done a whole lot else, really. I've sat down and decided I'm just going to watch Slime Time again for no good reason.
Because sometimes you just need to.
Sometimes
you just need to watch something like that to wind down. Something comforting and familiar that's not going to stress you out too much.
Yeah, something reliable and wholesome. I did actually kind of forget just how fast that anime moves sometimes. Like the first 10 episodes, you have the initial entering of the world. You have the meeting of the goblins, the establishment of the goblins, the whole bit that happened in the dwarf city, the introduction of the orc problem. What else is in there? Various other factions popping up. Gabaru. I mean, Gabaru is a thing all on his own. He's such a useless, horrible... Well, he's not a useless character. He's just an idiot. But
yeah,
he is so much fun. Because he's such an idiot.
He's a lot less... I feel in a lot of ways he's less sinister in the books.
Yeah.
Because he so clearly is just completely... It fails to understand what's going on around him. He looks just credulous most of the time.
Yeah.
Rather than ominous.
I have to ask, actually, he kind of gets pushed along a lot by his little group of sycophants that follows him around.
That's way underplayed in the book, because he's got those 3 particular sycophants in the anime.
Yeah.
Which is a useful mechanism for the visual medium to tell that story. But in the book, it is just implied that it's a cadre of about 100 knights that he leads that are all extremely extremely rah gabiru type individuals, and it's more diffused, so it doesn't look like he's just being easily manipulated. It has a more of a sense of, oh well, he is actually in a bubble where he's surrounded by people who just think he's the bee's knees. So how else could he draw any other conclusion? He's
Fair
not
enough.
receiving information that contradicts reality in any way. He's just, he only encounters people who think that he's the best thing ever.
Yeah. You get a bit of that with the anime, but I think it is kind of blown up a bit more because it's just through those three in particular.
Yeah, I mean, that's a useful storytelling mechanism for the visual medium because you need a focal point for that, as opposed to sort of, the voices in the crowd, which is the more of the way that it ends up happening in the books.
Yeah. So yeah, that's honestly really been about it for my week. It's just I haven't gotten a whole lot done.
And it seems to be a running theme in our weeks for the last several weeks.
I don't want to indulge anymore.
We've all got various things going on, and those things, every time one of them finishes, another one crops up, and I think that that's basically being an adult in a nutshell.
Oh, there is one other thing I can quickly touch on, is I grabbed the remaster of Wonderful 101 on the Switch. I loved this game to pieces out on the when it came out on the Wii U, and I still love it, warts and all, and it has a lot of warts. There are a few weird decisions I think they've made because they've just remastered it. It's come from the Wii U and onto the Switch, which means they needed to figure out what to do with the tablet controller. And what that means in a lot of cases is you have an optional picture-in-picture mode where you press a button and it'll put up what it was normally on the tablet up on the screen in the corner. Now, for the most part, you don't need that. Because it'll give you the radar, which will tell you where everyone is in relation to everyone else. But by and large, that's just a bunch of little dots swarming around that you can't make any sense of anyway. It comes into play when you go into certain buildings, because the way it used to go is you go into a building, you control your group on the tablet, and the main camera would just stay on the outside of the building. They've reversed that now, so the main view is now what your group is doing, and the external view is down on the tablet. Which means you can kind of forget that it might take a moment to figure out how a puzzle works, because sometimes you need to manipulate something inside for an effect outside. So yeah, that's just a minor gripe. I've noticed a few graphical tears as well, which is... yeah. I'm not sure why there are graphical tears on the Switch, but never mind. But beyond that, it is still the same ridiculous, fun and hammy experience you had before. I have enjoyed going back to seeing Wonder Blue again, who is essentially Dante, but not really. He's kind of like Dante crossed with Sonic the Hedgehog. He wants to be Dante, but he's actually Sonic. He's voiced by the same guy who voiced Sonic as well, which doesn't help.
I don't know who voices Sonic. Like, is Sonic always voiced by the same guy? Is he like Duke Nukem? I don't know.
For the last 10, 20 appearances.
Ever since Adventure 2, I think.
Yeah. So there's been one consistent voice actor for Sonic and one for Robotnik as well. I think Tails has shifted around a bit, though. Knuckles
Tails just has young boy... totally not a girl's voice.
Yeah, it's rather generic.
You can cram that in pretty easily, I would think.
Yeah, the ones you can't really replace is Robotnik. He's kind of got this style these days.
What, Jim Carrey?
I haven't watched that yet, but I will, I think.
I hear it's on track to be the highest grossing superhero movie of the year.
Wait, what?
Well, I mean, think about how this year has gone.
That's a point.
Yeah, I was about to say, there ain't been that much to compare it to this year, so...
Yeah.
But you can't take that away from them.
Sonic the superhero, I guess he technically is. I mean, he fits the same mold.
We're going to run into this problem with media in 2020 in general. People are going to talk up a product that came out in 2020, or they're going to point out some movie or something, and they'd be like, "Oh, this was really good," or "This was really bad," etc. But somebody is inevitably going to go, "Yeah, but it was 2020."
Yeah, we didn't have a whole lot of choice. Thank you. Thankfully, the Vidya section is starting to come back for the end of year rush as they usually do.
Yeah, but all it's saving that is Christmas. So
Yeah.
thank Jesus for video games.
Oh, that's a thing now, is it?
It's not wrong.
I mean, it's not wrong. Oh boy. I'm just trying to think.
Reminds me of that you remind me of that the sweater that Jean wears in that filmmaker video where she's trying to celebrate Christmas in the middle of the year. And she's wearing that hideous Christmas jumper with "Go Jesus" written on it.
Go Jesus. Nah, whatever. I'll just give him a 4-star. Blah.
Is that like a thing? Like Christmas jumpers have to be hideous?
I think it's some sort of law.
It's usually they're made or bought by somebody that is from a way prior generation when you get one as a gift. So it just is a thing that it'll be a really ugly sweater or something.
These days, when they make Christmas, these days they make and sell Christmas sweaters, and they all look exactly as kitschy as that.
Yeah.
So I think that's just sort of, it's become a part of the culture that they have to be terrible.
Like, it's expected at this point.
So it's not really a Christmas jumper unless you wouldn't be seen dead wearing it in any way other than ironically.
Yeah. Incidentally, I ended up going up to a supermarket the other day, which is something that almost never happens to me because I live in a country town in the middle of nowhere. They were already playing Christmas carols.
No.
We don't have Thanksgiving, so...
Yeah, we don't have that buffer.
I am very thankful for Thanksgiving itself and that there is no pataroo or any such Christmas nonsense allowed until I have had turkey.
Yes. So, yeah, you've got that safety net. Like, Thanksgiving's kind of a soft buffer, but Halloween is a hard break against the Christmas creek. We don't have that.
Oh, that's right. We haven't even gone trick-or-treating yet.
Yeah.
What are people doing?
StarCraft stuck in my head on Saturday, and I was just humming it over and over again. I don't know why. I didn't hear anything that set it off. It just sort of happened.
Earworms. I'm really kind of grasping at straws now, so I'm going to just end my week early, I think. I have a dog making weird noises.
You always have a dog making weird noises.
I do. So, Vol, what have you been doing, sir?
Not a lot. Throwing me the hot potato is not going to accomplish very much since I didn't do very much either. It's we had another major resignation this week.
Oh boy!
You're going to run out sooner or later.
We very nearly have. It would take maybe one more resignation, and there wouldn't actually be any more technical staff to resign, other than people who haven't been trained, and me. Like that's, and still no introspection has been done on the reasoning for this, or whether or not they should forestall the constant brain drain. Doesn't seem to be a priority for them for whatever reason. I don't really understand, but it's not my job to understand. It's my job to do what I'm told, apparently. So yeah, I just have to stay the course ultimately. But that does mean that I'm extraordinarily busy all the time, and I get home extraordinarily tired as a result, having done late days every single day. But yeah, it's rough, and they don't really seem to be doing anything to encourage me not to resign the moment that they promote me to a position I can put on my CV.
Yeah.
Which, more fool them, but I don't understand the logic behind, being so cavalier. Unless their objective really is to just dissolve the place, that's also possible. I mean, it would mean that they've been lying to us the entire time, but that wouldn't be surprising in any way. But yeah, so as a result, I'm pretty busy. Only Land is running on FGO this week, and it is incredibly silly, and it has it's got sort of like voiced next episode segments, like a Disgaea game, in between chapters, which I thought was kind of funny because it's very rare for there to be voiced segments in FGO, but they have one of these after every chapter, and that was extremely silly. It's kind of heartwarming in a way how everybody in the cast seems to be avoiding tipping Ibaraki off that Major Fender Girl is actually just shooting with a different spirit origin.
Yeah.
She thinks that they're two separate people who are both incredible and would get along famously if they ever met. That's her logic. But
Well, Ibaraki's never been particularly bright, I guess.
well, the thing is that she's always very, very, very resistant to any kind of implication that she's a child.
Yeah.
But she blatantly acts like a child, and she eats candy with the other child servants and always hangs out with the other child servants. So it's sort of a hard case for her to make. But yeah, it's a unfortunately the event itself is kind of brutal. Like the grind is very it's not particularly remarkable in any way. It's just that they've throttled it a lot, and combined with the progression through the story has been throttled, and combined with how busy I've been, like it's going to be a rough mission to try and complete this event for me. I need to, of course, at least get Caster shooting the welfare servant, and I really, really need to get those gold foos as well. But the pace at which this is going is a definite. I'm going to just have to get the bare minimum and satisfy myself with that because I won't be able to do anything else.
Do we acknowledge that Blackbeard has reached an all-new low?
Oh, right. You sent me a screenshot with that.
Yeah. I'm not sure it's really a new low. I think that he's pretty much been surfing the same low for a long time now.
He's always just been a degenerate weeb, like forever.
Well,
Yeah.
It's heavily implied at times that while he enjoys being a degenerate weeb and he's sincere about being a degenerate weeb, he does play it up in order to put people off their guard, because just trying to be scary the way the real life Blackbeard did doesn't work on the sorts of enemies that they deal with.
I mean,
So if you're going to creep someone out, you have to take a different tack.
yeah, so he's scary, but in a much more creepy way.
But yeah,
he needs to be in jail.
Unfortunately for everybody, the FBI, I sincerely doubt, will be arresting anybody for this kind of behavior, especially with the news as of late.
Topical.
That's some foreshadowing. That's some foreshadowing for our other show, folks.
So, yeah. Did you want to talk about that at all? The show? I mean, not the topic necessarily.
Well, I think that the other show's been going reasonably, insofar as we can gauge.
The biggest problem we have is there's too much stuff to talk about every week.
Yeah, it's like it was not supposed to be a necessarily weekly show, but there's so much news every week that we're sort of getting pushed into that mold anyway.
And because it's stuff of consequence, we have to seriously put time and effort into making sure we've collected all the data we can.
Yeah, like promulgating misinformation would be, a pretty cardinal sin in this case, whereas we can afford to be a little bit sloppier with the gaming one, since it's way more heavily based on opinions of things that seem to be happening in the industry, whereas in the case of the political material, you've got to actually get it right. Mm-hmm. Otherwise you end up your grounds for criticizing the people who are actively spreading disinformation start to become a bit shaky if you didn't put in the effort yourself.
So we've got like 2 pages on just the first topic of the latest debate that was up.
Yeah, and we haven't even thought about the other stuff that happened this week, because the debate's going to be too big of a topic.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we haven't. Right. We won't have time to talk about Tubin's tube or whatever.
So
doing the Tubin.
The Tubin. Jeez.
Doing the Tubin. Yeah, it's like the thing with that is, like, it's not an important story in any respect, but it does prove that Democrats really do sit in Zoom meetings jerking off over fan fiction about removing Trump from office. Like, that is not an exaggeration. It is now a proven real thing that has happened on camera.
That is a ghastly image.
Don't ever do the Tubin.
So yeah, I suppose another quick thing I can chuck in for my week is I had to go down and do my civic duty and vote in the Queensland election.
Same, except in the Georgia election.
Hmm. So yeah, there was a whole lot of options on our election where you could just take one look at it and just go, well, nope, and nope, and nope. Like it's out here, out in the bush here. It's like rule number 1: always put the Greens last.
Well, the Greens are hopeless. Like all they're gonna do is cause more fires. That's all they're good for.
They're absolutely useless, and that goes double if you live in the bush, because then you can actually see the damage they cause.
If you give them any mainstream political power, all they do is raise your taxes.
Yes. But it's progress. It's wokeness, is what it is. So apparently, Clive Palmer still has a party. Or
Really?
His party
He's not
still
in jail
exists.
or something?
He should be in jail.
I figured that he would end up in jail sooner or later, but he just seems to wriggle out of it every time.
He does. I have no idea how. He belongs in jail. So yeah, there's elections going on all over the place lately.
Sorry about that, folks. I just realized that my microphone had its gain turned up on the back of it all the way because I forgot to switch it into show mode when I moved it. So that should be much better and clearer for everybody.
That's a bit.
Although quite a bit quieter, so...
I'll be honest, I can't tell the difference.
But yeah, so elections are going on.
Yep.
Yeah. I wish mine had gone a bit better, but I guess I've just got to deal with the reality of it now and hope that the Prime Minister doesn't do anything too crazy, which would be a break with tradition, but I mean, it could happen. But yeah, so I honestly have actually spent quite a bit of the week just prepping show content, watching the debates repeatedly. Not because I particularly want to, but I found both with the previous two debates, the first debate, the VP debate, and this debate, that my impression of them is different on each successive watch through.
I had
the first watch through for me is almost universally negative every time, but it gets better the more that I watch it, the more things that I tease out of it, the more detail I see. Like this most recent debate I watched. I didn't watch, in fact, I listened to because I was at work and I was busy. So I couldn't look at the people who were doing the speaking. And that actually changes the picture entirely if you do.
Yeah, well, this is a very famous in I think it was Kennedy and Nixon, and how Nixon destroyed Kennedy on radio. But the second they had a television debate, Kennedy blew him out of the water because Kennedy looked way better physically in the way he presented himself. I think it was Kennedy and Nixon. So the visual dynamic there is really important and often overlooked by people.
Anyway, so I haven't spent any time playing Genshin Impact, much to my great dismay, because I really do enjoy playing the game for the most part. The problem is that I just don't have the time. And I'm not going to this week either because I'm going to be furiously trying to catch up with Oniland, get things in gear there. Apparently the next phase is a raid phase. I'm not up to date with the clearing from the time locks at the moment, so maybe it's already started. But apparently it's one of the major QP and points earning phases of the event, and there's I think 14 million kills is what is believed to be the cap before the raid phase ends. So goodness only knows whether I'll be able to actually make any progress with that. It's because of the way the event is structured. It's not like in Guildfest you could just structure the team that you wanted and use the appropriate CEs to grow in the event. In this case, it's particular servants that you have to use to get bonus points. So you have to build as well as CEs for bonus points and bonus materials. So you have a very, very small amount of flexibility in your roster that you can use for grinding, depending on how efficient you think you can be with time, how efficient you think you can be with apples, and so on. It's pretty difficult calculation to do, to be quite honest. And I haven't really been bothering. I've just been maximizing the amount per AP simply because I don't have the time to do lots of runs. But yeah, so unfortunately, that's the way that one's going. I liked to spend more time just enjoying the event, but unfortunately, I just don't have the time because it's bringing work, being an adult.
Sometimes I don't hear anybody complain about adulting nearly as much as we do. I wonder if we just screwed something up in life.
It's possible.
I did.
Yeah, I know I've made a lot of mistakes, but I can't pinpoint the one that would give me time to play video if I hadn't made it.
Yeah,
But, yeah, that's just the way it is. Unfortunately, I don't know that it's going to change in a hurry. Be good if it did. Don't have a lot of hope for it. But yeah, I don't do anything else this week. I did watch some other anime, but they're really not worth talking about. It's not a strong season again this season.
Yeah, the the worldwide plague, I suppose, at this point has really put a damper on it, on anime particularly this year.
It's put a damper on everything.
Yeah.
It might not even be that. I mean, there's a good chance that it's that, but typically the industry has gone through lulls where they just don't produce any notable content for quite a few seasons in a row. It happens. It just happens sometimes. I don't know that that's the case here, but it's not an unreasonable supposition. I don't think that could be the reasoning. But yeah, I'm trying to think of anything else that I did, but I just don't really feel that there was anything, and I just don't see any hope for that changing in future, and that really bothers me because things are getting so much worse at work and are going completely unacknowledged by the management that things are not great.
Yeah,
it's just the real problem because I don't see it. I don't see anything changing. Things are just going to. I know it's not just that things are going to get harsher in general. I think it's going to get worse for me personally. I feel like there's a good chance that I'm just going to end up becoming the locus for where all the problems wind up when they need to be offloaded onto somebody.
Which would probably be to a degree fine if they'd actually pay you for it.
Yeah, if I was getting reasonably paid, like I'm quite mercenary. I will do a lot if I feel I'm being compensated adequately.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm blatantly not being compensated adequately, even for the work that I was doing before I got my latest load of additional responsibilities. So, yeah, they don't seem to care about that kind of thing on it. But there's an increasing prevailing attitude of just not giving a toss, which is not going to do well for them. I don't know why they think that it's a safe way to go, but
yeah,
whatever, guys, whatever. Yeah, so I don't have much to talk about. It's been a rough week after its own fashion, and I would very much like for it to be different next week, but I don't have a lot of hope. I don't know that that my dream of being able to be lazy will ever be realized.
No,
unfortunately.
You would hate it if it did become realized.
Well, I would at least like the option.
You would like to learn to hate it?
Yeah. Like I'd like to have at least a day to appreciate it before I decided I didn't want it anymore.
All right. We've actually got a lot of news topics to talk about this week and an email. So, Ari, why don't you jump in your week?
My week. So my week was taxes.
Yay!
Welcome to annual tax prep. Well, actually, as I found out, this is more of a semi-annual thing if you want to do it correctly, because you have to also do the actual filings in April.
Well.
So, I have discovered though that if you're not a lazy bum and you actually do your job and do it at the end of your fiscal year when you have all the documents ready, most of the April work gets done at the same time, and April just becomes a filing thing that'll take maybe a week to get all the paperwork together for. And you won't have to go actually dig up any information. At least that's what I'm hoping. So even more forms came out of the woodwork that I didn't know the federal government needed, or the federal government had ever made, or were a thing that some bureaucracy decided was a great idea. And I'm just doing my best to chew my way through it, and it's really painful. It's every day is a new form to fill out with something, and it's starting to drive me absolutely up the wall. So I didn't really have a whole lot of time for media stuff. I was mostly spending my time doing show prep like Vol was. Well, less prep and more just casually following politics stuff because it's what I do when I'm bored or when I don't have enough energy to do something proper. And I didn't really want to start any new video games because next week I got Cold Steel 4 coming out, which I'm excited to play and know I'm going to dedicate a lot of time to, so I don't want to wear myself video gaming out before then. And then, and yeah, so I just played a little bit of PSO2 here and there, and got to a point in Genshin Impact where my world level is now world level 5. So I can do the weeklies and actually get the weekly rewards.
Neat.
Which is still random to add even more resin and cooldown problems to the game. Where to progress past certain roadblocks in the talent levels, you need to get drops from the bosses that are random in your one attempt you get every week for each boss.
I think that's probably my biggest gripe with Genshin Impact is it plays, or it uses a lot of systems that are mobile game systems, but the rest of the game doesn't play like a mobile game.
Yeah, that's the problem. A lot of people are a bit starting to get a bit concerned about that, in the sense that the idea of normalizing this type of crap is pretty terrifying.
Yeah.
Like the idea that it will just become normal for all of the horrible gacha and randomization and energy mechanics just be a thing in a totally normal video game. It's not encouraging.
Yeah. We've been able to ignore it for the most part because aside from EA, it's been largely restricted to the mobile market, and nobody gave a toss about it over there.
Yeah, and unfortunately, you hit such a wall in Genshin that all you can do is log on for maybe 30 minutes tops if you're going slow. Do your 4 daily commissions, and your daily BP stuff, spend your resin, and log out. That's literally all I do now. It takes maybe 30 minutes. And until I can get enough resin to get enough money to actually upgrade my characters and get enough EXP books, which also costs resin, I can't play the game.
They want you to spend money.
Yeah, I'm not giving them $10 a day to refresh my resin to max every single day.
Yeah, no.
Try again. So instead, I started putting time back into PSO2 again. Not a whole lot, but I jumped back into it when Arcs Day came around, or Premium Day for Arcs Day. So I had stalled for about a week and some change on the current patch because I just didn't want to jump in mid-patch and wanted to be a bit closer to the release of the next story bit. So I was a bit closer in between story episodes and wouldn't have time to forget stuff.
Yep.
And Genshin was out to distract me, so I used that as justification to just wait a little bit. And they put a lot more stuff in this patch that I just didn't notice, or they didn't do a good job telegraphing was out. So, yeah, I've been having a lot of fun with it. The first thing I did was Arcs Day, though. And Arcs Day, for those that don't know, is Arcs Rappy spawn with rare special drops throughout the world, and if it's premium Arcs Day, only premium users get it, and if it's regular Arcs Day, everybody gets it, but everybody gets a tri-boost of 50% that scales multiplicatively instead of additively. So you get a huge, absolutely YUGE, huge EXP boost when Arcs Day happens.
Huge.
So what you do is there are bonus quests that give you a crap ton of experience, but they're limited in the keys they require to get them. And if you're a casual player, you'll spend them whenever you get them just to get a few levels on whatever class you're leveling up at that moment. But if you're actually trying to take a few classes to max level, what you do is you hoard these things until Arcs Day, and then you get all these boosts that you have sitting in your bank that you're never going to realistically use because you're saving them for a rainy day, and you blow as many of them as you can at once. And then you just do all of your bonus quests all at once as well. And this means you get many EXPs and many levels all at once. So I got my hero not only to 90, but to 90 with 4 EX cubes, so I don't have to think about it ever again as far as leveling goes, and have a permanent 90, because it counts as 90 main class and subclass when it's equipped. So I can do all current content when it comes out and not feel too bad because it has all the skill points it needs. So I have that. I've been working on my summoner. I'm actually doing Buster quests right now, which do not require any brain thought at all.
They really don't.
Not for the level I'm doing. I'm doing easy mode on purpose.
Yeah.
And just kind of grinding my summoner up very slowly because I use it as a subclass for literally everything when I'm not sure what to take.
Yeah, it's got the kind of perks in it that make it a good pick no matter what you're doing.
Yeah, it is the fallback. I don't know what I need for this class because I don't play it very much subclass.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to get that to 90 and get its EX cubes. I'm 84 right now on it. While leveling the summoners, where I discovered quite a few of the systems that they didn't tell us were in the game early. So we have first pet limit breaks for summoners. Summoners get 2 other system mechanics they've been waiting on forever. Well, 3 really.
Yeah.
So first is pet limit breaks. You can take your pets past level 100 now up to, for 13-star pets, you can take them to 120. And for 14-star pets, you can take them to 130.
And all it means is you need to go and talk to the creepy class trainer.
Yeah, but you don't have to do anything for him. You just say, hey, I got all these pets at level 100 that are at a higher than 12-star rating. Can you limit break them? He's like, yeah, sure, here you go. And you can now limit break your pet.
He just says it creepily, and that's it.
Yep. So and he just auto limit breaks the pets for you if you have any. And any subsequent pets you get that drop that are 13-star or higher, or at least the 14-star ones, I'm not sure about the 13-star, will be level 100. Out the gate and already limit broken.
Yeah.
So that's their first system mechanic that I didn't see in the patch notes that's released early. So summoners are very viable again. They were starting to really fall behind because they couldn't level up their pets anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So they're caught back up. It takes an absurd amount of egg farming to get your pets up. So nobody has a properly maxed out pet right now. And I certainly don't. My main pet, my Jenga, is like, let's see, she's 105. So, yeah, not getting there anytime soon, but working on it. No, 106.
Best pink doggo.
I fed her an egg, and she's 106 now. Okay.
Yeah.
So, there's that.
You're starting to appreciate the sheer jank that is the summer class.
Oh, I'm never playing this class again as soon as it gets its huge S90.
It is an enormous pain in the ass, is what it is.
It's a min-max's dream, but everybody else's nightmare.
Yeah, as soon as I get the points for it, this class is going right in the bin and just going to be permanently equipped as a subclass on anything that needs it. Because it's a caster, so it can cast stuff, and a crap load of its stuff in its tree is passive, and Summoner Mark is applicable to every single class. It's just 45 seconds of 15% more damage.
Yeah. Or more if you hit the actual marked point.
Yeah. So yeah. Looking forward to getting this class done and over with so I can play classes I like.
I like how the summoner plays. It's just all the ridiculous jank you've got to go through in order to actually get it there.
It's just really not a intuitive. Well, it's intuitive. That's the wrong word. It's just kind of the pets. Being unable to control the pets hurts the class way more than most people think, because you will be stuck with the pet either not behaving, running off on its own, or just dying. Yeah, and there's not a whole lot you can do about that.
That's why you explode it like a grenade.
Yeah, you chuck it and it explodes. Yeah, it takes a lot of learning in order to figure out how to actually work your pet properly. And sometimes even then, like, for the big things with lots and lots of weak points where it'll target, sometimes it'll just decide it wants to chew on one particular point and won't lock onto anything else.
Yeah, and sometimes if they get out of the map, they get stuck and lost and cannot be called back even with the command your dedicated attack to recall the pet after it finishes.
I have not run into that one.
Yeah, so if a pet gets too far away from you and gets out of the map because it's trying to attack something that, like the Castrum Demonicas and the Buster Quest, having a move where the castle mech will zip out of range of the map and go behind the invisible wall of the map to shoot you from outside the map for a quick blast and then quickly zoom back in. Your pets will decide it's still okay to follow it out there and hit it once and get stuck out there.
Yeah, because once it hits it once, it's supposed to come back to you because it's out of range.
Yeah. So it gets stuck out there. So you have to unequip your harmonizer completely by pressing up on the D-pad to switch to a different weapon slot, and then re-equip it to get the pet out.
Jeez.
It's the only way to fish it out of there.
That's really, really dumb.
Yeah, it's some serious jank.
Yeah, someone did not test that.
So yeah, there's that. There's the way they attack and the hitboxes on their stuff. It's really hard to tell what your pet can hit.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have to kind of know the invisible hitbox around all of its moves and where it's going to go, and how it's either askew or not. It's just I do not like playing the class.
Yeah,
there's too much jank involved. It's not like a hunter pet where it will at least respond to the commands you give it, even if those commands are very simple.
Well, pending pathing.
Well, yeah.
But it doesn't matter with Cuddles. If she aggroes the whole dungeon, she'll solo it anyway. So yeah, leveling up the Summoner class to hopefully be done with it. I might level up Hunter next in the same way, but I actually like Wired Lances on Hunter. I think they're a lot of fun to play with. So
yeah,
I'm
you bounce
looking
like a demented yo-yo.
Yeah, and I just love doing wrestling moves on people.
Yes.
And they did not make certain very large mobs immune to the animation cycle of the Wired Lances.
No, they did not.
So you can grab the T-Rexes and chuck them across the map and suplex them.
Which never gets old.
No, it doesn't.
There are not many video games on the market which do allow you to suplex a T-Rex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like this is an underserved niche.
Yeah, and it definitely makes playing Hunter enjoyable, but the novelty does wear off, but it comes back. Like, after a while, you're like, I could go for some suplex and T-Rexes again. Unlike Summoner, which is just like, I gotta try and get Fee to go where she's supposed to go on the boss again for 20 hours until I'm the level cap again, and was not looking forward to it.
Oh no, my sweet spot is not optimal. I better spend all my time grinding.
Yep.
Oh, I just crammed everything that looked like it sounded good in there and compressed it as far as I could and stuffed it in her sweet box.
If that was not pancakes, you're doing it wrong. Pancakes are your everything.
Well, there's a limit on the amount of cookies and pancakes you can put in there.
Yes.
Now, I have mostly crepes and... because remember, I'm not planning on playing this class. I have mostly crepes for bonus experience and parfaits for random bonus effects to make it easier to play so I can do something else while I'm playing Summoner and let Fee handle it.
Yeah, parfaits are good. Well, actually, no, that's not quite true. Some of the parfaits are absolutely ridiculously good. But,
like bonus damage to bosses by 20%?
Yeah. But then you've got other ones which are completely useless.
Yeah, like you gain +1 melee attack power per enemy killed during the course of the mission.
Yeah, which is only useful if you've actually built your character around melee damage.
And by the way, that only counts if you get the killing blow.
Yes.
Yeah, I need to dissolve that suite. I realized that one was quite terrible.
Yes, absolutely useless.
So yeah, I've not been having fun with the Summoner. I'm just kind of sucking it up and getting it done. And other mechanics they put in. Harmonizers are in. More than the baseline harmonizer and the slave ball or whatever it was.
Yeah, it was Slave and Nemesis. They put in another one, which honestly they shouldn't have bothered with because it was awful. And there was an event one as well, but yeah, it was either Slave or Nemesis.
Moaisism.
What's that?
But Moaisism.
What's that got to do with it? Oh.
Yeah, because remember, there's no master in this game anymore.
No.
The blacklist is now a block list. So yeah, I'm not the one that decided that everybody that I don't want to talk to needs to be connotated to black people PSO2 developers. That was you.
That was entirely you, and rightfully the community called you out on this nonsense.
Yeah, Good job, PSO Reddit. For once, one of these gaming communities absolutely kicked them in the balls.
Yeah.
But yeah. Next up with the stuff like that, weapon progression is early. You can start working on your 15-star EX weapons now. I guess they listened to the players when they said that they're annoyed having to just jump tiers in weapons.
Yep.
And how much effort they put into grinding something, it doesn't matter, because they have put in the path to grind up to Atlas EX, which is the second best weapon in Japan right now, I think. There will be a better path that comes later, but most people in Japan are apparently still grinding on the Atlas EX path. And the North America version or the Western version has a way easier path, relatively speaking, because we can spend weapon badges that we've accrued by doing all the crap throughout our 10-year play in the game to get the multiple copies of said prior tier weapons we need in order to upgrade them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, how to upgrade them is stupidly long and complicated, and I just pick a weapon type and follow that line on the flowchart because it's really, really overly complicated on how you have to do this. And it's best just to pull the flowchart up, pick your weapon you want, and follow the chart.
Naturally, they tell you what to do in game, of course.
No, and it would be impossible to describe this to a sane person with in-game text.
Yeah.
You need the fans to disseminate this and get the flowchart out. It's the only realistic way to explain it.
But more importantly, you need the fans to filter all of the stuff that's not relevant, because there are a lot of traps in PSO2's progression across all of its systems. There are lots and lots of wrong things to do.
Oh,
yeah, the mag system is the biggest one because they don't tell you how important the mag is because it counts towards base damage, which is multiplied by all the modifiers you get later.
Oh, yeah,
so
you mess up your mag and you can be completely wrecked as a character.
See my trash can.
Your poor mag.
I did just suck it up and spent some AC on more mag tickets and just bought 3 mags. Actually, I bought 4 mags. And then spent something like 20 million Meseta to just buy enough of the tiny little boosters to get a melee attack power, a ranged attack power, a tech attack power, and a dexterity mag.
Yeah. So what are you going to do with the trash can? Are you going to reset it, or are you just going to keep it as a testament to being awful?
Well, the trash can is invisible. So whenever I don't want my mag out because I'm playing Fashion Star Online, I can just equip the trash can mag.
Okay.
So that's his job, is to be invisible.
I just don't want to see your grotesque swollen self.
He is one with the universe.
Yeah, he has transcended this world. Or something. What else? PSO2 has demonstrated they are going to have rerun AC tickets, where they will take some of the most popular items from AC tickets throughout the year and run them in a week-long banner, a 1 week only banner, at random points in the year.
That's kind of
which was cool. So this caused the price of a whole lot of expensive crap on the auction house to tank. Hitsugi's thigh highs have dropped from 120 million Meseta down to 15.
That's a big drop.
Yep. Pole dance has gone down from 750 million down to 54.
Are people happy or unhappy about this?
Most people are happy. Because the people that paid for this stuff or got it in the AC ticket to begin with don't care that other people are now getting it for the fun emotes and the costumes. Nobody had enough time to grind up Meseta to get a specific emote, because as time passed, those emotes or those outfit pieces would increase in price along with their grinding. So it was not real feasible to grind up enough Meseta to buy out any of the really expensive premium stuff, like the stuff I mentioned before, like Hitsugi's thigh highs,
Banana Boat.
Or Banana Boat. Well, Banana Boat wasn't in this rerun banner, but
I don't think people like the Banana Boat quite that much.
I like it, but for all the wrong reasons.
Yeah, this was like the airplane run emote and the T-set emote and all the popular slut outfits and pole dance, of course. So I was stuck with a conundrum because I had a whole bunch of these solo YOLO AC tickets we've gotten through promotions and apology maintenance stuff. And so I decided to throw 2 at the rerun banner and got pole dance and black thigh highs with ribbons. Now, both of these items are incredibly expensive on the auction house and are very valuable. But given my history with this game and what Mav taught me while I was playing FGO, I decided to use the pole dance emote and have it as a permanent emote now.
So thought hard is what she taught you, basically.
Yeah, thought harder. So now I can salute super hard with the pole dance emote.
Be gone.
And yeah, and all the wings and horns are back in this banner too. So see a whole lot more people with
A whole lot more toonies.
Yeah, if I got one of the wing types, if it wasn't just generic vanilla white wings that I could maybe make something into a set, I would sell it on the auction house. Those stupid rainbow RP glowy wings that look hideous that for some reason go for hundreds of millions of meseta.
That everyone seems to wear regardless.
That would be a great investment in money to sell on the auction house.
Yeah.
I think those are in the banner too. So yeah.
Why? They don't match with anything.
They're hideous. I've seen one guy wear them well, and he had equipped a Rappy suit, put on several Marlins over as his accessories, increased the Marlin sizes to ridiculous levels, increased his body size to be giant, but shrunk down into the Rappy suit. So the Rappy suit says, because the Rappy suit is consistently the same size, and then had all these Marlins supersized by increasing his body size.
Fish.
Yeah. And then he put the giant rainbow wings on the Marlin that was on top of the pyramid of 3 Marlins.
Jeez.
And he called himself Fish God.
I mean, yes.
So that guy figured out how to make them work.
By being completely absurd.
By being actually insane, yes.
Yes.
But
yeah, I'll come back to PSO2, I think, once episode 6 hits. Seems like a good benchmark.
They're implementing some systems earlier than expected. The progression paths, at least, to work towards the next tier weapons, and the ability to infuse rings into units. You can start working on the rings and getting the stuff you need to merge them with equipable units, so you can equip more rings. There are not any units worth merging them yet, but you could do it if you wanted to. But you can start working on your rings to get them to a point where you can mash them together and stick them inside of whatever units they're applicable to.
Yay.
Note that you cannot install timed abilities or rings into sub or whatever the not actual armor piece is. What are these things called? Sub pieces, whatever those are called. Just SUB.
Right. Oh yeah, the universal ones.
Yeah, you need the dual discs or the back wings to.
Honestly, I haven't seen any of those universal pieces that are actually worth using for long term.
Oh, they gave you catch-up pieces for episode 5 that are all. They gave you 3 sub pieces that are pieces of catch-up gear that everybody's wearing right now.
Right.
It's basically like Griffin Soul stuff, but better.
Oh, okay.
See, this is why I stopped playing. I can't wrap my head around it. Like I just end up feeling like I'm not doing anything. Like I'm just treading water.
Yeah.
Because I don't. Maybe if I was a neat who was spending all of their time playing it, it would be different because I could just go ham all the time, and maybe then I wouldn't feel bad about it. But currently, it's just like, oh, great, I logged on, and this week everything is redundant again. And I'm feeling more and more weak relative to everybody around me. I don't have time to ever catch up to anything ever. Just can't be bothered.
Yeah, same logic spiral I ended up stuck in.
We'll get that. We'll stabilize at episode 6, and right now everybody's just trying to level all their classes to 90 for the most part. That aren't the uber neats that have 50 characters on the same ship that are running their dailies on every single character to get bonus keys to feed to their main character. Those kind of crazies.
Ugh.
Everybody that's not them or spending gajillions of dollars to buy stuff on the auction house to accelerate their leveling.
You see some of these people on YouTube, and they have like their character select page is just full. It's just a list.
Yeah,
Massive list.
not doing that. It took me a month to get enough bonus keys accrued and do the Arc Stay splurge to get with a premium bonus to get one class done.
Yeah. You don't really need multiple characters unless you want mules.
Well, what you do is you get all the promotional items. They go out to every single character on your account,
Yeah.
and you can do dailies on every single character if they have a class over level 60. That'll get you bonus keys.
Yeah.
Or have a chance to give you bonus keys. It's
if
not
you want
even
to be
guaranteed.
super hardcore, you can do that.
Yeah, that's what these people do.
Yeah.
So if you're not those people, which is literally everybody, but probably like 3 people that are always online on B42, you're just trying to casually play and level up your classes, do your dailies, do a few buster quests here and there to get some filler EXP, do the urgent quests when they're up to get some materials for crafting into the 15 stars.
Incidentally, is
And
B69 still cancer?
It's dead. There is no
There's
B69.
there's only 50 servers now.
Ah.
Yeah, B69 moved to B34.
Right.
So, yeah, B34 is now the cancer floor.
All right, let's never go to 34 then, even though I could swear it defaulted me to 34 before.
42 is a good, moderately populous place on Ship 3 with enough people that are consistent that you can talk to and get to know, but it isn't overpacked ever. It's always just got enough to have a population.
That's all right then.
And they do not react well to lewd symbol art.
Yeah.
They have the B34 deportation squad as part of B42. So I hang out on B42 a lot because if I'm on phone duty at work sometimes I'll log on, just hang out in the lobby and do some menuing crap to get stuff ready for when I get home.
And you don't want not safe for work when at work.
Yeah, I don't want some girl's legs spread completely uncensored and symbol art on the screen.
Yeah, people were getting a bit. They were crossing some lines. Let's just say.
Speaking of, I hear that they just banned hentai completely in Australia.
Okay.
Just recently, like just importing any of that material.
So no hentai for you, I guess, or for me.
It's
I
just
guess.
like strictly illegal now.
Right.
Your government is a bunch of moralistic busybodies.
Oh yeah.
We
It
need to
has
stop
its
my government
advantages
from
once
being
in a
there.
while, but most of the time it's just a nuisance.
Yeah. Every now and again they'll do something good along those lines, but for the most part, just nah. It's why we don't want to let the leftists creep in further, because it would be so easy to push everything way too far.
So yeah.
Anyway.
Aside from that, I turned on the cutscenes in English from Cold Steel 3 to refresh myself on what happened, and rewatched the key story beats, so about 2 hours worth of cutscenes for the big moments I wanted to be sure I was refreshed on before Cold Steel 4 came out.
You need to be totally refreshed on Brocon princesses.
Yeah, no, I'm marrying the CEO girl.
What?
She's canon waifu anyway. I'm going to choose to pretend that Elise is not creepy. But, so yeah, not a whole lot else. That's really all I did for entertainment, and did taxes at work and followed political stuff, but we'll have to save most of that for the political show.
Yeah.
Hooray, taxes.
What about taxes?
I don't envy you having to do taxes, but I sort of wish that the government wasn't doing mine for me.
Yeah. Do businesses get to do their own taxes in your country?
I think you can. It's just onerous
Okay.
to actually, subvert it for personal taxes and then go through it manually. You can do it, I think, but it's usually not worth the extra effort now.
Yeah, I do not itemize my personal taxes, even though I do them myself. I take the generic discounts because it only would get me like an extra $50 if I itemized, and that's way too much work and effort and stress for $50. I'm not doing 10 extra hours of work at tax time plus needing to keep up with all my receipts to itemize. And at the income bracket I'm at, the government usually is neutral or owes me money. Well, I owed them money until Obama's tax hikes were revoked. Now they owe me money after Trump's tax breaks. But business taxes, never, ever say, screw it, I'll just do it if your company's having trouble with its accounting people. Because that's hell you're walking into and you don't know it.
And they're just waiting for you to do that. All right, we should probably do a breaky thing.
Yep, we should. Here's some music, folks. We'll be right back. And we're back.
Mills.
Indeed.
And for the first time in quite some time, we have an email.
Yes, we do. And I'm going to read it because I don't trust these other jokers with their England.
I've already read through this, and the game he talked about sounds utterly bizarre.
Right. Well, let's get the show on the road.
Get it.
Dear No Excuses. First of all, grats on the new podcast. Your perfectly milquetoast Christian Conzi takes would surely make progressive heads implode. You know what else makes heads implode? Virgo versus the Zodiac, a game I picked up recently. You play as Virgo, the most pure constellation, on her crusade to purify the cosmos and restore the Golden Age, mostly by stabbing everyone and everything with her spear. And since bosses are other constellations and the mini-bosses are stars, they either go supernova or collapse into a black hole when they die. Also, the game has that active combat system where you have to press a button to successfully attack or block. The combat mechanics are a bit quirky but recognizable once you figure out what the stats mean, and it is all wrapped up in 8-bit pixel art that is all cute and funny. Then you make the boss puke blood because you remember you are purifying the cosmos. If you want to give it a try, there is a demo on Steam. Remember demos? I remember. I was going to write about Gacha Impact, but everything that needs to be said has been said. Unfortunately, the blood is in the water. The game recouped its dev costs in less than 2 weeks. We should prepare for more free-to-play Gacha games ported to the PC. Just remember, the most fair free-to-player model on PC is Warframe.
This is true.
He's always standing for Warframe.
It is a good game, but...
It is a good game. If I knew that there were going to be people consistently playing it with me, I might commit myself to learning to play it, but... It's a game that is very far from my comfort zone as far as skills are concerned. Like, it is all the things that I am the worst at. And it is quite complex. Maybe not PSO2 level of Byzantine complex, but it's quite complex.
Yeah, it is a lot of fun, though. And, anywho, I am afraid he is actually quite right about the blood being in the water already.
Yeah, I think, I don't know whether it was... on the show or before the show, I was saying about how I think that this is just going to be normalized. That's what this has done. This has broken the seal on the expectation that a normal game with a normal appearance is going to have these random elements, these gacha elements, all of the things that we hate. It's hard to make a cogent argument against it in some ways. Like, laying aside Genshin Impact's severe problems with extreme randomization and with the resin system, which if you're going to talk in terms of just randomization and throttling, World of Warcraft has those exact same problems.
It does.
But laying those things aside, it is a game that you can coherently play without really involving yourself in the gacha mechanic at all. Like, I haven't spent $1 on it. Ari hasn't spent $1 on it. I've rolled the twice on the starter banner that most people do, and I can't remember if I rolled another time or not. I think I did. I rolled one other time. And so I've still got a pile of premium gems, but I've been more or less happy just, doodling about with the characters that I've got. The game functions perfectly well as a single player game, and if they decided to iron out some of the issues with the progression, well, then it would render most of the arguments about the gacha stuff more or less moot, because they would be that unnecessary. I'm not sure whether the wave of money will continue. It all depends on how they react to the resin system, I think, because I think most of their money is not... Like, FGO makes money out of waifus, fundamentally, right?
Yes.
It's not people who want to replenish their AP who are supplying the bulk of their cash. It's people who want to roll the gacha. But here I think that it is people who are just straight up paying to play the game for longer, who contributed the most to that initial burst of cash. It's not just people trying to spin the gacha, although I hear there were a lot of people who just became, monomaniacally fixated on Diluc and didn't do anything but roll over and over, and then when they were done rolling over and over for Diluc, if they got him, they would then proceed to continue to roll over and over for him, because constellations are a thing.
Yeah, so that's the thing, though, is you can have like 10 players of this game, and you only need one of them to spend money on them to actually make it viable in order to follow this sort of policy.
I've seen several Diluc regret posts on the Reddit of people that either didn't get him because they went too ham for him, or people that did get him and went, yeah, he works really good on the spreadsheets, but he doesn't have any utility at all, and I can't use him for most Spiral Abyss fights for the floors that are giving me trouble.
Yeah, that's something that makes me wonder whether those people are like gacha novices, because like you didn't see Merlin regret threads, you didn't see Skadi regret threads, because
And
the people who
that's
went
reasonable
ham on
assumption to make.
those, huh?
I was saying that I think it's a reasonable assumption to make that they are novices. We've seen quite a few people that say I'm new to the gacha system because they're not used to playing mobile games, and this game doesn't advertise like one.
Like my point of reference is always going to be FGO. It's got the next worst rates in the world compared to Genshin Impact, and you know the difference is that when people go ham and regret it, it's usually because they went ham for a waifu that they didn't really waifu all that hard, and people didn't regret Merlin or Skadi because they had intended on basically entering that particular meta, those particular types of teams. There's a strategic intent there behind it, and you do see regret threads in terms of, oh, I lost control of my spending, I didn't realize that I was spending so much. But that's not to do with the game, that's to do with their personal self-control and fiscal discipline. But in the case of Genshin Impact, I can't see a gacha veteran going ham to get Diluc, because he's a raw power character, and raw power always creeps in gacha games. Always.
Yeah. And not to mention, you need a good weapon for him. I have one, because great swords seem to be what falls out of that stupid thing that gacha like candy. But yeah, you need a good weapon for him. You need Diluc himself to get him to the level on the spreadsheet that they were talking about that was ridiculous. You need him at max constellation.
But nobody's actually going to do that. It's like it's not mathematically feasible to even attempt it. And they do give you all of the rates. I guess I just don't grasp what a normie thinks when they see those percentage rates.
Yeah, it's
like, if you are going to plot a max constellation 5-star, then the amount of money you need to calculate is the amount of money to use exclusively pity to get all of them. That's how you calculate it. If there's a pity system, you calculate via pity. In FGO, everybody goes in eyes open. You may simply not ever, no matter how many billions of dollars you decide to spend, get what you're looking for. Sometimes that's the way it is. So you've got to temper your expectations. In Genshin Impact, you are guaranteed to get your character. However, you can calculate the cost, and it is not pretty at all.
Yeah, it's really, really bad. Like
with those extra tools to hand, and the reason those extra tools are to hand is very much because the gambling laws in China are very restrictive. Like, they have to be 100% transparent, otherwise they're not allowed to implement the system. But you've got all the data at your fingertips, so you just need to make the rational calculation. And my rational calculation was, in FGO I have these thresholds, I have behavioral heuristics that I engage in, because I've spent money to get various characters in FGO because I was particularly fond of the character, or because I knew that it was going to be meta defining and I wanted access to particular strategies to accomplish particular goals. So I spent money for Merlin, I spent money for Skadi, both of those were meta decisions. I spent money for Melt, and that's just because I like the character. But that's about it. Those types of decisions are not decisions I'm applying to Genshin Impact. Number one, because there's no meta. The game is not progressing in that fashion. It's not a game, because FGO is at core. FGO is a puzzle game. You've got to determine the loadout to accomplish your goal in the way you wish to accomplish it. For some people, that is to scratch through the fight as however you can do it. And for some people, that's the ability to 3-turn a fight or the ability to complete a fight with no casualties. Like, that's the one that I usually do subconsciously. I always build my teams to complete a fight with no casualties if possible. But they're puzzle games, and you set yourself up for that. In Genshin Impact, player skill actually means something.
Yeah,
So
and
you don't need to make meta rolls ever, because you can just play better.
yeah, and there's unless you run into a stat wall or some gear barrier in the Spiral Abyss, there's really nothing that requires you to have big numbers. You can
Right.
just play better.
Well, like, I can't kill Storm Terror, and that's due to my numbers. But in that sense, I probably could kill Storm Terror, but the amount of time it would take me to do at my numbers would be prohibitively long for the amount of free time I have available to me. So I
Not
just
to
don't
mention the
try.
practice attempts if you're having trouble with it.
Yeah, well, I mean, most of his stuff can be dealt with once you figure it out, and it can be dealt with relatively smoothly once you know what you're supposed to do. The problem is that even if I play it perfectly, it will take me forever to kill the dude, because relative to my numbers, his health pool is enormous.
Yeah,
So it's just not a productive use of my time. So there is a numbers factor, but it's not stopping me from playing the game. It's stopping me from playing the game quickly. And that's not the developer's responsibility, really.
yeah, and honestly, even though I have Diluc and a good greatsword, Fischl still does more damage with Oz.
Well, I mean, Oz is a boss. He is a boss.
So, and then with the elemental reaction system, you can just wind up with a character that's, while it's really good, if it's not applicable with its element to the current fight, doesn't matter.
I mean, yeah, I use Ningguang for nearly everything, and she works in a sort of elemental agnostic way for pretty much everything except fighting heavily geo oriented enemies, where she will do 0 damage at all times, which is quite frustrating when she's your main DPS. But you can sort of see the effect of things when Klee came out, right?
Yeah.
And there's so many screenshots floating around of YouTube videos about Klee.
Mm-hmm.
And they will say there'll be one YouTuber will say Klee is trash, next YouTuber will say Klee is great, next YouTuber will say, oh well, Klee looks great, but Klee is actually trash, and then the one will say Klee isn't trash, you're just playing like trash. Like, you can just go down the list of videos about Klee and everybody disagrees on her actual value as a character. And as far as I'm concerned, that means that what you do with your tools is far more important. And Diluc is the opposite of that logic. Diluc is just a stat stick.
Yeah,
so,
he is very, very useful in some Spiral Abyss fights for just eking out the timer way earlier in the progression curve than you're supposed to. But unless you really want to do that, there ain't a reason to go ham for him. And even then, it ain't by that much. I probably didn't need him to meet some of those thresholds if I really just got good and kept practicing.
Yeah. Well, at any rate, it is definitely true that the blood is in the water, but I suppose ultimately what needs to be determined is how much of the populace will get wise and how many of the developers will get cynical, because there are more malevolent ways to deploy what that they have deployed, because they did not need, if they were just going to go the traditional route of a gacha game, they did not need to give as much game as they did. They did not need to make it as polished and as expensive as they did, because you can do a lot with this game for free. You never have to spend a dime to get an awful lot out of it. And if they weren't a bunch of CCP shills, I might be inclined to just throw them some money and thanks for a great game experience.
If they were not a Chinese company, I would have tossed them something for the battle pass just to get all the extra stupid ass golden EXP books.
Yeah, there's something to be said for just paying for something just out of gratitude.
Yeah, unfortunately, they work for the Chinese government, so I'm pretty dubious about that.
Yeah.
I'm just not in a position where I really feel comfortable supporting those lunatics. So yeah, them's the breaks. If you want to, uproot all of your investments, MiHoYo, and go somewhere else, well, then we'll talk. But yeah, it is a less cynical deployment than I expected. It is more cynical than I have hoped, and it is also definitely breaking the seal on something that maybe the seal shouldn't have been broken, no matter how good the game might be in its current state.
Mm-hmm.
So, as for the other topic, which is Virgo, I was having a look at the Steam page for it, and this game looks very, very strange.
Looks very cute.
It looks incredibly cute, and the
I don't know, his
celestial
description didn't
llamas
sound very
are a
cute.
thing.
His description sounded the opposite of cute.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's, I think, the kind of the off-putting thing is you look at the art, and it is very cute and sweet and happy. And then apparently you're disemboweling people who are happy and cute and sweet. So, yeah. I may actually try the demo of this at some point. Because demos are a thing, and demos are a thing that should be supported. But,
Yeah, but I'm so used to them not existing now.
yeah, I think they all got thrown into the too hard bin.
Yeah, the what you call it?
The gaming magazine cover demo disc.
Ah, yes. Cringy
Those
as
were
it
the
was,
days.
they were great.
There was a thread on GameFAQs that I saw this week in the Cold Steel 4 GameFAQs thread that was upset there wasn't a demo for Cold Steel 4 when there was for Cold Steel 3. And I was like, what the heck? There was a demo?
I know, right? Demos need to be a thing again. And there's really, aside from the difficulty of them, no, there's no difficulty in distributing them anymore. You just put a demo option up on Steam. Done. But
Make demos great again.
The thing is, there is one business who is really trying to push demo angles, and unfortunately, that's Google with Stadia. Like they've set up like an instant demo system. It's just that, you know, it's number one, it's Stadia, and number two, it's Stadia, because
yeah,
that platform is now nearly a year old, I believe.
Is it?
It's been out that long. Not
wow.
quite, but
How did that happen?
And they have not managed to convince anybody to care about it yet.
No.
Well,
In case you're wondering, point 3 is also, it's Stadia.
also, it's Google, but C, it's Stadia.
It is Stadia. Jeez, it has almost been a year, hasn't it? So, yeah, like, I wonder why. Like, Steam has that 2-hour limit on refunds. I wonder why they don't just put an option there saying, I would like to try a demo, and just give you a time-restricted version of the game.
Yeah. I mean, it seems reasonable to me.
That would, I think, be the easiest way
remember
to do it.
I remember that being the way the Resident Evil 2 demo was structured, is it just had a timer on the screen that would count down, and you could play for the game as far as you could get in like 5 minutes or 10 minutes or whatever it was.
The biggest hurdle with that I can see, though, is people unmounting the game from Steam once they've got the files. Which, depending on the game, is possible.
But isn't that how does that not apply to the refund system? Why can you?
Yeah, you can do exactly the same with the refund system. You can.
So they've already got that then.
Yeah, it's already a problem.
The only difference is that you require capital for that system. But on the scale of people who are, you know, malevolent enough to try that kind of thing, I don't think that that's really an issue.
And there's a much more cynical reason why they probably don't, in that a lot of game devs are really bad right now, like really, really bad at their job, and make bad video games. And bad video games with a demo, if it's just Steam policy to always have a demo, are not going to sell well on Steam.
There's also that handful of games, particularly the kind of artsy, pretentious type nonsense games, which aren't even 2 hours long.
Yeah, there's those. And then there's the games like Brink, where if anybody on the planet got a demo of Brink, they would have never played the game.
Yeah, that would be, your game is trash.
And yet somehow someone still manages to convince everybody to purchase the game.
Red Dog.
I didn't buy it. I'm not going to buy it. Does anyone actually still play Brink, or is the server shut down?
I have a funny feeling that I own it. I don't think I've ever installed it.
I got it when Red Dog was shilling it to the Discord, or not the Discord, the Ventrilo at the time. and holy crap, that game was awful.
Yeah. Oh boy. So, I guess while we're on the topic, let's dive into some news and let's talk about Stadia being stupid again.
All right, thank you for the email, Serathis, by the way.
Thank you. Yes. Let me find the article. So, we have a hot take from Alex Hutchinson of Stadia.
Yeah.
And he says streamers should be paying game devs to stream the game.
Yeah.
Well,
Let
see,
me.
it's wrong-headed to begin with, because the streamers are usually, the initial streamers are working with the game devs to begin with as a promotional thing. It's just standard now, isn't it?
It is.
I-
They'll bring a bunch of streamers on board to help promote the game, yes.
I don't imagine it's advertised very much, but who's getting paid what and how lucrative the deal is. And
Everybody knows it.
But yeah, everybody is aware when all of a sudden every single streamer on the planet is playing the exact same game, even if it's totally out of the wheelhouse for half of the people playing it.
Right, Shadow Legends.
Or they're an ethot and they can't play video games, period.
Yeah.
So, yeah, half the time, at least early on, it's the game devs who are actually paying the streamers to play the game.
Yeah, that's ridiculously good advertising for dollar value right there.
Yeah.
Like, why would you not pay for streamers to take a look at your game?
Yeah, the thing is once you've got that ball rolling, it seems to get a bit of momentum. You've got enough streamers out there that the game kind of becomes a streamer. What's a good term for it? It's popular streamers. It's kind of the hot thing at the moment.
Yeah, it's
So
like
other streamers
it's like Among Us and Fall Guys and all of those types of things. The perennial Minecraft.
Yep.
Like I'm not necessarily saying that those ones did streamer deals. What I'm saying is that that's a very lucrative marketing form, and I'm pretty sure that the last big one was probably Valorant. I would say, like, in terms of like they use streaming as a massive marketing engine as the primary focus. Valorant did that quite a bit, I believe.
I think it's
And they
Valorant.
spent a huge amount of marketing spend on that. But
Yeah.
I think that the unsettling part about what he said. I mean, he's a doofus, and he's like the king of bad takes. He's famous for bad takes, in fact.
Yes.
He hates anything Japanese. He's incredibly arrogant.
Oh, he says that in this interview. He has a hilarious quote where he says he would rather pay attention to the narrative. I'll take Gears of War over Bayonetta anytime. When it comes, Japanese game stories are literally gibberish. I'll take Gears of War over Bayonetta anytime.
To be fair, the story of Bayonetta is literally gibberish, but that's not the point.
It's fun gibberish.
Well,
It is fun
the point
gibberish.
is that he is the king of bad takes. He's just not very smart, generally speaking.
No.
But the scary part is that if they decided to, if they wanted to go that route, there are probably places, I don't know which countries or which states, because I don't know what level these laws exist on, who they could enforce that if they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
They could enforce what he is saying. They could demand licensing fees and prosecute for not obtaining a license.
Yep.
It's sort of like how you can't play music in a public place without obtaining a license, and people do it, but the record company could enforce that if they wanted.
Yeah.
If they really wanted to, yeah.
This would turn into it would need a precedent-setting case, but I think it's a valid enough claim in terms of the legal language of how the laws are written in most U.S. states.
Yeah, just because the laws exist, I think it would be an easy ruling. Like, it would be an easy win because the laws exist. They are that way. You would need a judge who is really going to go out on a limb and say, no, I think this is ridiculous because I personally think it's ridiculous, would be the requirement in order to rule against such a thing. So I think that they would win. The thing is that doesn't benefit anybody.
No.
For the most part. Now, there are certain people who who would benefit from a licensing thing like that, and that is the aforementioned people who make 2-hour games.
Yep.
Because most people never play those. Like, it's true that, oh well, I mean, you can You can buy it on Steam, play the entire game, return it before the expiry period is over. But that's not actually where they lose most of their money. Where they lose most of their money, because these are all art house experiences, is people just watch it being played by a streamer, and then they
Yes.
have no need to purchase the game ever. The streamer has obviated the purchase prospect entirely.
Yeah, you can make an argument on that, but
I'm just playing devil's advocate here.
Yeah, that is definitely
They have a reason why they might look askance at people who are streaming their game, because the streamer is able to deliver such a comprehensive chunk of the intended experience due to the style of the game that it's just redundant for people to actually play it once they've watched the stream. It becomes almost like if you are playing a movie on your stream.
Yeah,
and then it's like, oh well, I mean, there's clearly a piracy issue here because they're just coming to your stream to watch a movie, and now they don't need to watch the movie because they already did. As a game becomes more in the similar artistic vein to a movie, the more likely it is that they're going to run up against that problem.
Yeah.
So, yeah, as it is, I think we've kind of got a good synergy going on between a lot of game developers and the particularly big streamers. Little streamers don't really matter so much.
Well, what's hilarious about his stake is the people that would be hurt are the big companies more than anybody. They would be hit. People like Google would be hit the hardest.
Yeah, and you can tell that by the fact that Google furiously attempted to distance themselves from the Sky the second that it started to blow up.
Yeah, at the moment, like, you've kind of got this good thing going for developers. Once a game hits kind of the viral level, it is massive free marketing.
Yeah,
like,
this
ridiculous.
is like this is like telling your marketing department, "Hey, y'all did too good of a job. You need to pay us money to continue doing this great marketing you're doing."
But the whole streamer boom thing has been a real boon to the publishing, because essentially, even if your game is just going to be a flash in the pan because it's not really good enough to become a classic, the amount of exposure that you can get from streamers can allow you to pay off your dev costs.
Yeah.
So everything after that becomes gravy because everybody went out and bought it while it was the hot thing, and then, okay, we're done with this now.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter because they managed to expand that, the fat initial wad of cash that comes in at release just blows up because of the amount of reach that those people have these days.
Mm-hmm. There's also a good number of streamers who will sink quite a lot of money into gacha systems and loot boxes, unfortunately, to generate content.
Yeah, they'll roll for thousands of dollars, and people will watch them do this.
And
I don't know what the effect. I don't know what the effect that is on people.
It depends on the outcome. Rolling. Like, if they have a really, really good day and pull all sorts of really interesting and good things out of those boxes, people will go out and they will buy their own gacha boxes.
But the most legendary gacha pull videos are the ones where they spend $10,000 and get nothing.
Yeah, and those are hilarious.
It is a totally different animal than what y'all are talking about. While y'all are talking about mentioning this, the only thing I can think of is that Gigug video where in it he goes, "I spent $1,000 on a dick." Because sometimes it takes a real man to be best girl.
Yeah, because he had to get this Stolfo. Although he had a video the other day, which I think had the best opening, which was just simply, "Forgive me, Father, I have simped."
That was pretty good. I didn't see the whole video. I only saw the opening.
Speaking of simping, or rather shrimping, did you see Gura hit 1 million?
Yep, it's big news. Coco was so proud of her.
I don't think that our darling innocent shark needs too much more exposure to Coco Senpai. I think that would be dangerous.
So, the shark. She is the apex YouTuber.
Oh boy. So yeah, another hot take from the king of terrible hot takes.
This is actually a really fun article to read. I'll try and link it in a little bit here. Well,
he just comes off with such a twerp.
It is, his actual quotes are so mind-bendingly dumb that you go, how does this guy function? He clearly rode the short bus when he was a kid. Like, that's how dumb this stuff is.
I don't know if it's that so much as I think that he got his nose stuck while lodging it in his rectum to sniff his own farts, and that's just become his entire world now.
Yeah, like for people who are not familiar with gaming and stuff, his takes or this take would probably sound rather reasonable, but as soon as you start doing a little bit of research, you realize no, that's not the case.
This is like something a boomer might agree with if they have no idea what a video game is.
Yeah.
It's like this is the sort of thing that Matt Walsh would agree with.
Yeah.
All right. Do we have some happy news to talk about next? Please be happy.
Do we?
I don't know. Do we do happy news on this show?
I
Is
swear
it a
we
thing?
don't.
Once in a while. Let's see. We had a tangential topic to gaming that I thought was important to mention.
Okay.
We're not going to go much into it on this show. Me and Vol might go into it a bit more on the politics show once it starts rolling. The U.S. Department of Justice is filing antitrust lawsuits against Google.
And this has a long time coming.
Yeah, so finally, lawsuits are coming.
I sort of, I wish that it wasn't necessary, but like I've said on the political show a couple times now, the capitalist system only works when people are moral.
Yeah.
The second the second you get rid of the sign that says "Don't be evil" in your lobby, you might be going in the wrong direction. This should have been a clear red flag to everybody, but we all were just so used to Google being so convenient.
Yeah, and they control everything now.
Yeah, did you see the Penny Arcade did a comic on it?
No, I didn't.
Well, they did a comic on it, and the comic basically is of them as the authors in the process of their realization that their entire comic creation workflow depends on Google products.
Mm-hmm.
This is a thing that a lot of people don't realize, and how pervasive Google is in everything, where they have not just created a functional monopoly when it comes to information in the tech space. They have made it so that they are standardized with every single aspect of people's jobs in some way. Like you search on the internet, that's influenced by Google and their algorithms. You share documents between all your people at work. You probably use Google Drive to do it. It's like they basically own video sharing on the internet with YouTube.
Yep.
I mean, it's part of what makes their assertions that they couldn't possibly be involved in election tampering sort of laughable, because even if they didn't want to be, they still would be influencing the course of the election.
Even if you had people there trying to be objectively neutral, their personal biases are still going to go into their brain while they're writing that algorithm and deciding what's important to put weight on. And we know for a fact they are the opposite of neutral from the Project Veritas videos.
Yeah, and I was having a discussion with a friend either this morning or yesterday evening, I can't remember. And he was saying about how his friends on other Discord servers have they object to him, quote, getting political, unquote. And through experimentation, he's found out that getting political doesn't actually mean getting political. It means having opinions that are outside the left-wing orthodoxy. They consider to be apolitical and to have a neutral point of view to agree with everything that progressivism posits. Like that's their view of the term neutral.
Yeah, that's not
so
what neutral means.
there's it's very difficult to establish a neutral position. So it's not really, in a sense, it's not something that you can really aim for in a direct sense. So like if you're a news network, what you have to do is just employ people from all across the spectrum, because you can't employ a person who's going to be neutral. That person doesn't exist. So you actually do need that diversity of viewpoints if you want to present yourself as a neutral outlet. You can't just say, oh, but don't worry, we have our biases, but we're going to behave neutrally in this instance, because you don't know what neutral means necessarily. You don't know where that sits with respect to what somebody else might consider neutral.
And especially these days, where the the Overton window is on a moving hand truck and seems to be slipping further and further every day in a certain towards the left direction, that we just can't keep track of what is quote unquote neutral anymore. Things that were
realized I was waving my hands around while I talked, but nobody can see me.
I do that a lot, or I make faces at the non-existent audience while y'all are saying something or I'm talking. But yeah, there's like 6 years ago, safe, legal, and rare for abortion would have been a moderate neutral position, as close to as you could probably get for that day and age.
That was the Bill Clinton position, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that was relatively out there for the late 80s and 90s. That would have been considered a far position.
He's like it was like Arkansas liberal, so he's from a relatively red place, but he's the liberal.
Yeah. So this in the 2000s was a neutral position. Now it is, you need to be able to kill babies after birth, otherwise you're not neutral at all. This is a fundamental human right, and if you disagree, you are biased.
Right.
If you disagree, you're haunted by the ghost of Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Yeah. She will return with her Horcrux because we don't read any other books.
Jeez.
No, remember, J.K. Rowling is a TERF now.
That doesn't stop them from relating everything to Harry Potter.
No, she's a TERF, so Harry Potter should be reclaimed by the right. People were saying that, you know how Mitch McConnell had polio when he was a kid?
Mm-hmm.
And it left a lot of scars on his body. And there was a picture of him recently showing what his hand looks like. The people were saying, we need to reclaim Harry Potter for the right and say that Mitch McConnell destroyed a Horcrux. And that's why his hand looks all mangled.
I see.
Oh, jeez.
That's, yeah.
That is certainly words that have been said.
Yeah. There are a lot of words being said these days online.
Yeah.
That seems to happen a lot.
Can we stop that, please?
But I bring this up on the gaming show specifically because Google is so pervasive in everything you do. Every mobile device you have, every gaming system you have, has Google weaseled into it in some way or directly integrated.
Out of curiosity, is Google Smart House a thing yet?
Yeah, it's a Google Home. Yeah, it's been a thing for a while.
So you can literally wire up all of your house's like security, climate control, everything to Google if you want.
You would be insane to do so, but you can.
The only thing that
I'm pretty sure that Ring is owned by Amazon. So
yeah, it is.
Yeah,
we actually got given a Google Home Mini a few years ago from Telstra for reasons, I guess. Some sort of promotion.
Apology for being Telstra.
Apology and commiserations, I guess. Yeah. The only thing we actually do with it is we'll bring it out once a year, and we use it to put the Christmas tree on voice command because it's too much of a pain to get to the PowerPoint. And that's it.
I see.
You couldn't just get like a clicker or a remote?
We already had this thing.
Can it run Doom?
Probably.
Can it run
It's probably got Skyrim on it.
Yeah, the Google Skyrim.
Google Skyrim. So, yeah.
So be aware of this lawsuit as it goes on, because surprising aspects of your life and your media will be hit and possibly inconvenience you during the breakup. But if it goes through, and you're definitely going to probably see Google change some behaviors to try and avoid being broken up in the meantime. So they're going to try and give their lawyers some kind of ammunition here. If they don't totally spurg out during election time like Twitter has, then they're going to be trying to avoid being broken up.
Yeah, I think Twitter's in its sort of last gasp mode. Like, they know that they've pushed the censorship thing too far at this point, and it's just a matter of time before they cop flack for it. So they're just going whole hog and not even pretending like they're not censoring people anymore.
Either somebody's going to jail or that company's getting broken up, or it's getting its platform status taken away.
Well, I mean, that depends on who wins the next election.
Yeah, it does.
If the Democrats win the election, then Twitter will become, a protected entity like the bald eagle.
It'll become the global part of the globalist government, is what it'll become.
Yeah.
So, just keep an eye on this stuff. It will impact your life. It will impact your media consumption habits. It'll impact your video games. It'll impact your web browsing, the anime you watch, everything. So just keep it in mind and watch what happens here, and be sure you're on top of it so that you're not one of the people in your life that's surprised when all of a sudden Google Drive has to shut down because they don't have enough money or employees after a company gets split in two to keep it going.
The thought of having to migrate all of my contacts over from Gmail to something else is just a nightmare. I don't know how many government agencies have my Gmail address as their only point of contact.
I feel kind of bad for the person that gets all the people that I've ever received emails from my Yahoo email address that I sign up for everything on. That thing's got to be at least a few kilobytes of just bloat floating around in some databases somewhere.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's just like I've got my junk Gmail account and all the rubbish that comes in it because I've just used it to sign up for random things.
Yeah, everybody has one like that, or they take the one they used when they were a kid and use it like that. It seems to be.
That's my case.
Yeah, that's mine with my Yahoo one. So yeah, pay attention to this one. Nothing's happening yet, other than they're moving to file for antitrust. And for those of you wondering why this happened, see the political show in the laptop.
Yeah. So moving back to video games. Here's a bit of good news. There's a Game of the Year edition for Sekiro coming up.
Yeah, I saw this. I stuck it in as a newslet and a beep boop.
Hold on, what justifies Game of the Year anyway? Do you actually have to be declared Game of the Year?
No.
By anybody?
I think they need some publisher's quote to stick on the box to justify it to the public, but they can justify it with anything. And if for some reason you don't have that, you can release the Platinum Edition or the Bestseller Edition or
Complete Edition.
The complete, totally awesome edition.
Super Street Fighter 4 Turbo Arcade Edition V4.0 or whatever it was. But yeah,
no. You have to use the Under Night and Birth naming system.
No, I can screw that. EX late CC12, whatever the heck they were doing with that. So yeah, Sekiro Game of the Year edition is coming out. I just kind of threw this in here. Let's see. So things they're adding for the Game of the Year edition is the same game, except you can refight bosses. They've added a new boss rush mode, and you can create and share player movement recordings. And I saw a video of this, and it was really cool. You can have people's ghosts appear in your world, is what it looks like, if they share their data with you. Yeah, you can either race their ghost to get to a point, or you can see what they're doing to figure out how to get somewhere. So somebody can show you where something is without proper multiplayer infrastructure being in the game.
Well, I mean, technically speaking, that's what the notes in Dark Souls were for.
Yeah, so it's like a more advanced version of the notes.
Except that's not what they were ever used for.
No. They were used
Large
to troll
chest
people
ahead.
or talk about large chests.
Yeah, large chest ahead.
Good times.
The one after that was always Bountiful Fields.
Yeah.
Rolling Hills was after that one, I think. I'm trying to remember what the sequence was. It was so hilarious. I read it like 4 times when I first got there. Yeah, it goes on like that.
Yeah.
But that's what they were normally used for. Now you can actually see the person's ghost, and they can show you a secret or intentionally troll you and lead you off the map, I guess.
What this is going to mean is a bunch of players just turning up in your game, running around wearing nothing but their underpants.
They're going to take you the most convenient... Well, you can't do that in Sekiro. Sekiro just has the wolf.
Okay.
As the protag. You can't equip armor. There is no armor in Sekiro.
That's a mercy, at least.
Yeah. So
your game's not going to get infested by a bunch of those giant dads or whatever.
No, it's... You play as a character in Sekiro. You're not playing a nameless dude. And he has a character and a look that stays consistent for the whole game. So no giant dads. But
I was just enjoying an amusing mental image, that's all.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez, this game. Sorry. I just had an event that ran through my colony here. It wiped out like 3/4 of my population, and then when it ended, one of the colonists said, that was nothing. Meanwhile, I've got corpses littering the streets.
I see.
So that was a thing.
It's sounding an awful lot like Dwarf Fortress at this point.
Like I said, it sounds like a very fun game.
Yes.
But yeah,
Now I need to clean up the street corpses. This might take some time.
Speaking of Dwarf Fortress, what was the latest Seth video about?
It's a Caves of Kud, which is a pseudo ASCII appearing game. I mean, I believe you can actually play it in that full ASCII mode. And it is very strange. Like, it's a post-apocalyptic, maybe? Where you can play as either a mutant or someone who's jacked up on cybernetic implants. And
those are an interesting pair of choices.
Yes. I mean, if you're a mutant, you can fall prey to the church and get purified, which means you get dead. It's a very, very odd-looking game. I think I will play it at some point.
Well, all Seth's games tend to be very fern.
Yeah. And this one is no exception, although I really don't like the visuals on it.
Maybe it's like going to be like Dwarf Fortress and you'll be able to mod a tile set in it.
Maybe. I'm also waiting for Dwarf Fortress to pop up on Steam before I play it.
So,
anyway.
What were we talking about? Oh, Sekiro.
Yeah, Sekiro.
I was losing my train of thought and was trying to pull it back before I lost it. I could feel the train going off the rails.
Choo-choo!
So, yeah. I'm looking at the Sekiro Game of the Year edition. It was a fun game when I played it. If it's $40 or cheaper, I might scoop it. Yeah. I don't think I would pay full price for a game I've already bought and played through to completion.
Yeah, that's more than fair.
But for a few new modes and features, there appears to be more. This is just what we know about right now. If they release it for $40 or something, yeah, I'll scoop that.
Yeah, I could be persuaded to pick up the Game of the Year edition now that all the content is out for it.
Yeah, there was no big DLC packs for Sekiro. You didn't miss anything by if you got in early.
All right.
It was a pretty well completed game when it came out.
Which is a very uncommon thing.
Yeah.
A lot more uncommon than it should be.
Well, at least From Software is actually very good about that. Their games are usually finished to the point they're going to be finished functionally when they're released. Yep. It's just and the stuff they do release after launch is just more content for that game. It's actual full. Yeah, it's actual full content for that game, like full chapters and DLC packs.
Content? Nobody does content anymore.
So, while I rag on FromSoft for a lot of their technical stuff normally, this is one instance where they definitely finish something that's workable and just take that and run with it. And their DLC has only ever been content, I think.
Were they the ones that were doing that, what's it called, Elden Ring thing?
Yeah.
Is that still in process of being made, or?
Heck if I know. It was announced right about the time Sekiro was slated to come out, and we haven't heard a word about it, I don't think. COVID seems to have put a damper on these kind of productions, especially cross-country productions like that one, which has people in, I think, Britain, the US, and Japan working together on it. Okay. So getting together and meeting for stuff is going to be quite difficult.
Wasn't that guy who never gets any books written?
Yeah,
no,
George R. Martin.
The other one working on that.
There's too many.
Well, we can't say that about Butcher anymore. He finally... Did we lose Valsa?
Did we? Yeah, we did.
Yeah, his whole Discord died.
That's fun.
Oh, you're back? Your mic's... There you go.
It was my internet, not my mic.
Okay.
Your internet just baffed.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. But yeah, we can't say that about Butcher anymore. He actually puts out books.
Yeah, but his production rate, like, he just brought his average way down.
Yeah.
He's going to build that back up again. Like,
he's announced
talking about at work about our freaking turnaround times. Like, oh, we have one accident on one day. It brings down the average ratings, and then we've got to go ballistic trying to get them back up again.
Yeah, averages are stupid when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Businesses these days just seem to be absolutely married to the idea that KPIs are everything.
Yeah.
None of the practicalities behind producing whatever you are selling matter compared with the KPIs.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So, yeah, we got more topics we could talk about.
All right. Who wants to pick the next one?
What is next on the list? Next on the list, another story about another studio being founded, much like what was that other one? Dreamhaven. Much like the Dreamhaven group put together by Morheim, another bunch of Blizzard Entertainment developers have abandoned ship and set up Frost Giant Studios, which is going to be focused on RTS. I in a sense, I can't really blame them because Blizzard sort of done RTS dirty.
Yeah.
Didn't they just abandon support for StarCraft 2 recently?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Last week, in fact.
And they haven't announced any plans to make any new RTSs.
Mm-hmm. And especially what they did to Warcraft 3.
Yeah, that was a thing, and I think most people would probably be happy to forget about it.
Yes, if at all possible.
But yeah, it's just another competitor, and from what I've read, most of and Dreamhaven wasn't the first. This isn't the first. There are lots of these springing up where Blizzard veterans they'll take a group of people they worked a lot with at Blizzard, and they'll, as a nucleus, they'll raise a bunch of startup cash, and then they'll just go off on their own. But from what I've heard, most of these places are they're still in California. So number one, that's dubious because nobody can afford to live there. But number two, it just means that they are a stone's throw away from Blizzard and can just poach people straight from the source. So it seems like they're going to be suffering this sort of ridiculous amount of brain drain that my workplace is, because everybody at Blizzard seems to be unhappy right now.
Yep.
And they're all looking for somewhere else to go. So I don't know. It seems like it's a risky proposition for Blizzard to not clean up their freaking act. But I don't know that they will clean up their act.
No, I think that's
capable of it.
I think that ship is sinking, and it's too late to start bailing.
Yeah, that would be really sad. I mean, I know it's easy to say the Blizzard that exists now is not the Blizzard that used to be, but it's still sort of sad seeing something that's so integral to our generation's childhood just vanish.
Yeah,
and not
because of the ubiquitous and nebulous cause of, frankly, corporate greed. I hate the phrase because it's applied to everything that involves making money in any capacity, but ultimately that really is the cause. Is that there are people at the corporate level, direction to have remained relatively consistent, but no, it's gotten increasingly irrational and increasingly reckless over time.
Yeah.
So I think that there are bad gambles that have credit holders coming to ask where the money is, or they have new people who have come in who are just not cut out to do the job.
I would imagine it's the latter, because especially with Blizzard and the way Blizzard works, they are a company like we've talked about. We all three of us remember Blizzard from our childhood, and most people that have played video games on PC do. And we grew up with Blizzard, and we played World of Warcraft, and we all met in World of Warcraft or World of Warcraft adjacent things.
Bad for you.
Yeah, bad for you. And we all remember the Blizzard that once upon a time existed. And it's a dream company if you're, a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, retarded high schooler.
It sounds like you've met a few people you've had to talk out of trying to work for Blizzard.
Many youngsters had this goal until about 5 or 6 years ago that I've had to talk to. And yes. And so you get a whole bunch of people making it their life goal to go there. These people show up. move to California if they're not there already. If they're not there, they got to adjust to living conditions that are A, awful, and B, ridiculously expensive. They can't even afford a house. They're sleeping in the office or in their car, being worked in constant crunch time, and don't have a clue what they're doing, and may or may not be talented enough to work there to begin with, because Blizzard is one of the wokest companies out there now and is diversity hiring just to meet quotas. So you probably have a whole lot of people that do not have anywhere close to the talent needed to perform at this company. So they're going to be stuck rotating newbies in and out, because you got to imagine some of these people just break and quit.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's certainly the case. That they're from what I've heard for a lot of these big gaming companies, the number one cause of people taking extended sick leave is just mental breakdown. They just grind these people into dust.
Yeah, I would not want to work for Blizzard ever, and I certainly wouldn't want it as one of my first jobs out of college.
Yeah,
I
I can understand the appeal because it's just got so much, weight. It's so much cultural weight for people who are, they're gamers who grew up alongside our generation. It's just the gravity that Blizzard represents is pretty strong, and the dream of being able to do something creative to get your daily bread is an attractive one. It's just it never seems to play out like that in reality. Not anymore. It's all about KPIs.
Yeah, that if you want that, you've got to take the risk and start your own company, really.
Yeah, and that's why the indie sector is just flourishing, because the people there are just happier.
Yeah, like
they aren't being crushed under the expectations of a corporate who doesn't understand anything about gaming
and frankly doesn't care.
Yeah, there are plenty of big game companies that I like to follow and see their stuff, but I won't go read the interviews for them. But I'll go read what Hollow Knight devs have to say, because that's 4 dudes, and they just seem to really enjoy what they're doing, and give good, fun interviews, and seem to be having a good time.
Mm-hmm. Still waiting for that sequel to come out, though.
Yeah, apparently Woofloo put a damper on it because they're Stray in.
Yeah, I think they're in Victoria, and that means...
Oh.
Yeah.
So they're basically in jail.
They're in jail.
Yeah, so I imagine that would put quite the damper on your prospects.
Yeah.
Poor Hachima. I should check on her videos now that she's back in action and see if she's gone completely nuts.
Oh yeah, she has.
The stress has to be getting to her. It's not just that she was in Australia, but that she was in Australia and ended up ground zero for a scandal happening on the other side of the world.
Yeah.
And and it was such an innocuous accident on her part too. If she didn't have Coco there to help her take that bullet, she would have broken.
I'm starting to wonder, actually, because I haven't really watched much of her content, how much of her insanity is actually the character and how much of it is the actress.
That's the appeal. Nobody knows. It's a mystery. Because she's stuck in your country in what we think is Victoria, trying to finish high school, and is stuck there because of Woofloo, and she accidentally almost caused an international incident for something that should have been totally innocuous.
Yeah. If she's still locked up in Australia, she's in Victoria.
So, that poor girl.
Yeah. Also, don't you go to Victoria, kids?
Yeah, don't go to any major city hub area.
Living there, though?
I do. I've got my brother and his new wife living there. I think
you're not going to go see your brother. Yeah, I'm about to say, you're not going to go see your brother anytime soon, are you?
No.
Did he vote for the people that are currently in power?
For Labour? I think he might have.
I bet he did.
I bet he did.
He wears thick-rimmed glasses, doesn't he?
Yes.
Like hipster glasses. Then he definitely did.
So I think he's regretting that now, as are many, many people.
There are some political careers that are over out down there, I think.
There's a number of people who I think are going to be very lucky to escape jail at this point.
It's from what I've heard, in Victoria, the people are about ready to just start tying policemen and congressmen to cars and lynching them.
I think the policemen are actually going to, at this point, join the people they're supposed to be stopping.
Well, they could stop all of this. All they have to do is stop enforcing the stupid lockdowns.
Yeah, because everyone is sick of it over there. And there's no need for it. Anywho,
by the way, guys, Has anybody found the missing flu deaths this year? I haven't been able to spot them. They all seem to have vanished. Like we magically cured the flu this year or something. That must have been what happened. Golly gee.
Golly gee? You should be ashamed of yourself, sir.
Nobody ever said golly gee.
Nobody ever has said golly gee. Anywho.
Yeah, nobody got rid of the flu either.
Speaking of AIDS, let's talk about 2K.
Do we have to?
I suppose we do on this one. Because who likes ads in your video games? And more to the point, who loves unskippable ads in your video games?
Yeah, it's not the first time, I don't think, and it's certainly not going to be the last, but 2K have decided to insert pre-match adverts into their NBA games that you can't do anything about. You just have to sit there and watch them.
This seems like the wrong game to put this in because the NBA is on its way out the door, I think.
Yeah, they've been collapsing.
Well, I mean, realistically, the NBA might be out the door, but they've probably been replaced by the video game version.
Oof.
Yeah, like the basketball whales are just like all the other sports whales that are out there that play these sports games and will dump money into them. But yeah, I do not think it's smart to do this because you're going to take off people that are already losing interest in their sport.
Mm-hmm.
Like, basketball is, after this last season, when everyone was at home and had every reason in the world to watch the NBA. If they were a basketball fan, the NBA got so woke that they had the worst rated season ever in their history, I think, at least in terms of modern Nelson ratings as they're tracked for the past 50 years at minimum.
Yeah,
that's astonishing. They lost half of their viewership compared to last year.
You think it's the time for self-reflection and figure out, okay, what have we done wrong?
They said they went too far. They're taking Black Lives Matter off the court.
Oh,
it won't be painted on the court. Now they just got to do something about their people who are there to dribble balls and shoot hoops instead of talk to me about how immoral a person I am because of because of the way I was born.
That thing, I can't understand how that can be anything other than willful blindness. The fact that all of these people are refusing to acknowledge that Black Lives Matter. People don't hear the words because that's not what it means. They aren't even thinking about the organization, those Marxist sociopaths that run it. What they're thinking about is that you're telling me this because you think I'm a racist. You're telling me this because you are saying I'm a bad person. That's what you're actually saying.
Yeah.
You can't afford to accuse your fans of being evil. that never plays well for anybody.
It does not.
I mean, there's a very special type of masochist that probably works for, and you could just set up a phone line they can call and spend $4 a minute to talk to somebody to berate them.
Those exist.
I don't doubt that they do.
They do exist.
But
at any rate, so these ads that are being inserted into the games for things like the Oculus Quest 2.
Yeah.
So it's a video game from an evil company that is advertising to you the purchase of a piece of hardware from another evil company that requires you to sign up to their evil social networking service and give them all of your information so they can sell them to evil companies in China.
Yay!
Also, the second evil company in that list is also run by lizard people. So the lizard people also have your information.
Well, I haven't seen any evidence that it's actually run by lizard people. I mean, I know there's at least one lizard person. I mean, I don't know if all the staff are lizard people or whether they're, they're consorting with people.
I assume the lizard person at the head is working as a proxy for his entire race. And so the lizard people are the ones that actually control all of Facebook.
Jeez.
I see.
Oh, it's madness. All right, do we have anything else worth talking about? I think the only other thing on the list is Vampire the Masquerade.
Now, the thing I thought was amusing about this is that this is like the exact same story we talked about in August, I think.
Yeah.
Except it's a different person this time.
They're shedding people.
And they got bored and they're doing it again. much like my experience at work, for some reason, they're just losing all of their important senior staff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not
I'm
sure
getting
which of the
serious deja vu on this. So yeah.
So in this particular situation, it is senior narrative designer Cara Ellison who has left and gone to work for where was it, League of Geeks as a senior narrative designer. So I don't know who they are. I don't really care. The point is that it's possible that this was just a career move, but making a career move in the middle of a tentpole project like this is something that you do if you think that the project is doomed and you don't want to be attached to it.
Yeah, this game
Or
is looking.
alternatively, if your workplace is such a hellhole you can't stand to be there any longer.
Yeah, either the game has been consumed by wokeism to such a point it's unsalvageable, or the company has. Is what
It
is the
could be.
impression I get.
That is an extremely common and likely proximate cause. There might be a more conventional direct cause, like somebody with their head up their backside who has just been wasting money and nothing is getting done. There's lots of possible things that could have happened, but either way, this woke game looks like it's about to go broke.
Well, I don't think the two are necessarily unrelated there, because
No,
if
I'm
you
not saying that they are. I'm saying that it could be the proximate cause. Wokeness could be the proximate cause. It could be the underlying thing that is causing it. But
Yeah.
the direct cause, that could take many different forms.
Yeah.
Like there's the direct form where they've just decided that everybody else has privilege. The leadership decided everybody has privilege and needs to be fired. Or it could be that they've decided that they are so important they need to spend lots of money on silly crap. There's lots and lots of reasons that can be tied to, oh, well, the wokeitude is bringing them down. And it need not even be that. It could just be simple garden variety incompetence.
It could be. But given what these people have said, and the track record these type of people have when it comes to managing money and making video games, and managing their time and being productive with it, I'm leaning towards the most likely scenario is wokeism infected something. It caused a irreparable problem, and that's what's causing it to break down. Just because these woke people can't handle money, woke people can't manage their own time, and they want to jump on everybody's butt who doesn't conform to what they believe, so they're going to try and run everybody out who doesn't fit.
Yeah, I mean, if you just look at the thing that suggests that mainly is because the person who was the face of it is one of the ones that they got rid of previously. Someone so important that you would not normally expect the project to be able to do without them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if this game comes out, I do not expect much from it. I expect it to be quite bad.
Yeah,
they're overly focused on the wokeness of everything, to the exclusion of all else. They're willing to subvert gameplay mechanics purely in order to capitulate to the typical woke touchstones, like everything having trigger warnings and that sort of thing. Like, that's not how you make a game. You know, people are supposed to enjoy games, not feel hected by them. Is that something that they're familiar with?
Hey, on the upshot of if they put trigger warnings in every game, we won't need the game journalist industry to tell us what's what or not.
That's a good point. Seriously, we haven't needed the game journalism industry for a number of years now.
Yep.
Well, I mean, what do they really do?
Play games really, really badly for everyone's entertainment.
I guess that's true. I saw that guy,
I
what's his name, Dean Takahashi, was gloating on Twitter about having received a PlayStation from Sony, a PS5 early release from Sony, and it was just an opportunity for everyone to remind him what he did on Cuphead, basically.
Can't beat the tutorial. That's right. That was where I knew that name from.
Never played a game where he had to air dash before. Or double jump or anything.
But even people that haven't can normally figure it out after the third try.
It just yes, his dumbness is a key point in that video that makes it funny. The more operative funny part, I think, is the fact that he's supposed to be a game journalist and will definitely have played a game like this before that has these type of controls.
But he hates games.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure most game journalists do. They don't play games. They work for a games journalism outlet because HuffPo wouldn't employ them.
So, yeah. Ah, this is going to be interesting stuff this year. Yeah, I don't have any hopes for this game either. I wasn't a big fan of the first one. Who knows? Maybe it'll be so bad and buggy, but still a cult classic. It'll be a proper sequel in a way we didn't expect.
I modestly liked it. I think that the Haunted House sequence was exceptionally good, and it didn't require jump scares in order to be good. So that's always a plus in my book, because I'm not impressed by jump scares at all. And there were other things that were good about it as well, like as far as constructing a cool place that felt like an actual place. It felt like almost as terrible a place as the actual location was in real life. And the voice acting was exceptional in a lot of cases. And the writing was great too. The actual technical execution of everything was more or less a disaster. But most of that has been fixed by fan patches since. But this whole thing for the sequel, I can't even imagine how it can be anything other than a catastrophe. They don't seem to even want to make a sequel. They just want to use the name. But the tabletop version of it is just as bad, so.
Yeah.
And in fact, it is famous for it.
All right.
So, yeah.
Do we
have
anything else?
Like,
I think that's
who put a note in their source book saying that Nazis aren't allowed to play this game?
Oh, right. I totally forgot about that.
Didn't you know everyone you disagree with is a Nazi?
Everyone
Or Hitler,
Nazi
or both.
But me.
Someone posted on the conservative alternative Reddit to R New Zealand recently, saying that they posted the meme, the little golden book meme of Hitler sitting on a sledge, and it's like, everyone I don't like is Hitler.
Yeah.
Yeah, he posted that and got banned off of Facebook instantly.
I mean, kind of proving a point there.
Yep. All right, folks. I don't think we got anything else, so we ready to wrap up?
I think we've run the course on this.
Yeah,
Yep.
Sure.
All right. Email topic of the week. Even though it wasn't related to gaming, if you know any ways that Google's going to impact gaming in ways that we didn't mention, I would like you to send us an email about how if Google just got broken up or disappeared, how would that affect the current gaming or entertainment media industries out there?
You want to put it like that? That's pretty drastic. Like, Android would cease to exist along with all the games on it and my FGO account. Somebody would die for that.
Yeah, so give Vol existential night terrors for the rest of his life about how if his Google Play Store account gets destroyed, he can't play FGO anymore.
Good grief.
So yeah.
You joke, but now I'm having existential terrors.
So yeah. All right, folks. Closing comments. Let's go.
Don't litter the streets with corpses, as this game has seemed to teach me.
Baron Bunny is a boss. Especially when you can't pay attention to what the enemies are doing.
Good grief.
Because you're trying to do a show.
Baron Bunny is way too good.
Baron Bunny is much like the other bow user that everybody has. The pet is much better than the bow user.
Bows are kind of meh in that game. Like, they're useful in certain circumstances, but otherwise they're kind of meh.
It's jibbing air slimes.
Yeah, it's good for stuff that's in the air that you can't hit normally, or hitting Ruin Guard's eyeballs. And some of the bows have cool special effects, but the real reason you bring Amber along is to throw Baron Bunny down to taunt everything. Yeah. The real reason you bring Fischl along is to drop Oz and then switch to somebody better.
Yeah, that's how it works.
So, all right, folks. I think that's everything we got to talk about. 2 days until Cold Steel 4. So, hey. I will disappear most of my free time into playing that and pop on to see what my poor message box looks like as political stuff goes on in the meantime.
Yeah, it's less than 2 weeks to the election, isn't it?
It's less than way less than 2 weeks. It's 9 days, I think. 9 or 10 days. It's November 3rd. It currently is 1 o'clock in the morning on the 25th. Also, next week. Right. Next week, for everybody in America. Well, most states in America, unless you're on an Indian reservation or some wonky time zone state. You will be falling back an hour. You will need to rewind your clocks next Sunday.
Why must everybody lie about the time?
So yes, about an hour after showtime, I will time travel backwards an hour, back to sane normal time. So keep that in mind, US people. I will remind you again during the show next week that we have fallen back and that you will be getting the show an hour earlier because we go on Fern time because Fern doesn't change his clock.
Yes, because I'm sensible.
And remember, a vote for Joe Biden is a vote to make Jack Dorsey the free speech czar of America.
Yeah. Check out the political show, folks. Me and Vol will at least finish research on it tonight, probably, and maybe get it recorded. We'll figure that out.
Would be better for me.
Yeah. Today is too much, and we got too many notes we still need to make. So, we'll get that out, and you'll have that, and we'll see you next week. Sayonara. Bye bye.